Hi, Patrick.
Hi, Andreas.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
So, my question today is, why can't you call your products zero emission?
That's such a good question. Are you ready out there? No. Why can't we call our products zero emission? Because we need to be more specific in what we claim by zero emission. And this ties directly into the whole talk about greenwashing and carbon washing and all this. And what's really, really important to say is that when you say zero emission, and this it's about interpreting what you say, zero emission is what you could call in greenwashing terms, it's a vague claim. You have zero emission saying absolutely nothing. Do you mean you have zero emission out of the exhaust pipe? Do you mean that the car itself, if it was a car, for example, is the car zero emission in its entire life cycle? Is it zero emission now? Was it zero emission yesterday? We don't know. Per definition, and this is, I think we will do that in another talk, but the Danish Ombudsman has also put out that per definition, there is nothing that is zero emission. And that makes good sense, right? I mean, we will always have some sort of emission allocated to our product or to our component or product system. By zero emission, we say that we have now a product. Once again, let's take a car just for an example. We all know cars. We have a car and we put a zero emission claim on it. It means that we have a car that emits nothing. Now, we haven't specified how. So it's wrong. It's not true, because is it zero direct emissions or is it zero emission in total? Then we talk all of its emissions, and it will always have emissions in the production phase or in the maintenance phase or in the recycling or end of life phase. There will always be emissions. So per definition, we cannot have zero emission. We can have zero direct emission. See, now we specify the claim here. Now that's a specific claim. We have a car, for example, that is zero direct emission because it has no exhaust pipe. There's nothing coming out of it. Makes sense. It's a good claim. If it's an electric vehicle, for example, it has no direct emission. But we, right now, with a zero emission claim, we have no idea where the power is coming from. Is it 100% wind power? Probably not. But we don't know, right? So we cannot say. There will be some indirect emissions related to, for example, the electricity consumption, but especially also producing the vehicle, the frame of the vehicle, the metals, the battery, if it was an electric vehicle, for example. And especially here when we see the claims like that, right? So especially with zero emission or 100% sustainable, nothing can per definition be 100% sustainable. Something can be more sustainable than others, but it can never reach 100% sustainability. Okay. And that's why we need to be much more specific in our claims, especially with the zero emission claim that we unfortunately see in quite many industries now. And it very often is not something done on purpose. It's the lack of knowledge. It's the wanting to do good by introducing a new strategy or a new technology, but failing to look at the entire life cycle of a product or a system.
What do you think about claims of carbon offsetting to weigh out the emissions you would have on products? Let's say like the given car that we took in this example.
Yeah.
Do you have any comments on that, or thoughts on that?
I mean, technically, it's okay to carbon offset, and then you can claim that you have reduced emissions. Whether or not that is the correct approach to take, it's. I mean, on a personal level, I think carbon offsetting is not really the right approach. It's not really being proactive with your strategies or with what you want to do. Carbon offsetting can be a mean of trying to go somewhere, but it's also buying your freedom and then not reducing how you should do. And we're actually quite busy with reducing our emissions, and that not just CO2, but all our environmental impacts. And when we talk carbon and climate change, we talk CO2, right? And then we're very focused on CO2, but then we need to differentiate that environment and environmental consideration and environmental science is something more than just climate, right? So carbon offsetting just gives us just the carbon, but there's much more to the environmental side. And we do not really want to engage in carbon offsetting. You need to go further. You need to be more ambitious in your reduction strategies. It could be a first approach, but then you need to start to reduce. You need to look into your materials, the life cycle of your products or systems, and start to really come up with a good reduction strategy rather than just buying your way out of it.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for that answer.